is our webinar called How to Stay Connected While Physically Distancing. And my name is Teresa Willoughby and my colleague Carolyn Bradley, and we're both mental health and wellness counselors at the University of Ottawa in counseling services. So let's get started. So being present. If you can, try to put your phone on vibrate or turn it off, limit your distractions in the background, trying to find a comfortable space to sit and to be comfortable. If you can put your headset on so you can minimize noises, just overall being comfortable and finding a private space. If you'd like to take notes during the webinar, go ahead. You can also pause at any time. So the goal of this workshop is really to understand the importance of maintaining those social connections while we continue to remain physically distanced. And we're going to share some ways of keeping in touch with your social circle and learn how to safely use social media. Also learn about resources for additional support. Social distancing, online classes, a lot of canceled events. Terms like this have become part of our regular vocabulary over the last few months. And as a result of the coronavirus, we're adjusting to a lot of changes and a new normal. University can definitely help you cope with that social distancing during the pandemic. And we're going to talk about some different ways and resources. But for more information about what's happening in Ontario, please visit the provincial site here. Social distancing or physically distancing is really about spacing out between people and slowing the spread of COVID-19. It can also be called physical distancing because it helps remind people it's not about stopping those social interactions, it's about giving space to prevent them and ourselves from catching or spreading the disease. It's important to, I'm just going to do a little reminder here, avoid physical contact with people outside of your living space or bubble. Be at least 2 meters apart between yourself and others in public. Stay at home as much as possible, and if you're out, wearing your face mask, staying away from crowded areas, and being mindful when you're around people that are more vulnerable. If you're wondering about some of those kind of rules or guidelines, definitely check out the City of Ottawa, Public Health Ontario, or wherever you are for more information. So it's complex, right? We're experiencing a lot of difficult and challenging things right now. And it's important to recognize that through these different challenges, every day, it's normal to experience a range of different emotions, different reactions. But we still need connection. We know that physical distancing may bring up different emotions for people. Some people may like a slower pace of life and then enjoy spending a bit more time at home or on their own. But for many people, dealing with these feelings can be increase in stress, and increase in fear, anxiety, and loneliness and isolation. So it's totally understandable that you may be feeling a range of different emotions, and you can find comfort in knowing that you're not alone. We're all going through this together. If you'd like, you can look at this diagram here and kind of goes through, symptoms of stress. So stress can present itself in many different ways, physically, emotionally, and in the things we do and in our thoughts. So we want to be physically distant, but still have some emotional closeness and connection. The most powerful buffer in times of stress and distress is our social connectedness. So let's remember to stay physically distant, but emotionally close. So reach out, connect. Even a short text or a smiling face on Zoom can help regulate, relate, and reason. I'll pass it over to Carolyn.
So how do we define social connections? So by nature, we know that we are social creatures. We flourish when we feel connected to others. So when we're talking about social connections, we're talking about the relationships we have with others in our life. So family members, friends, colleagues, acquaintances. And we know it's important to have positive social connections. So connections that leave us feeling valued, supported, because we know that those positive connections are what help to contribute to life satisfaction. And you're going to notice that some people are going to have bigger social networks. Other people will have smaller ones. And we're realizing it's really not about the size of the social network. It's about the quality of those connections. And that those are relationships that leave you feeling a sense of belonging and feeling supported. So that's really what we're looking for. So how do we stay connected while we're being asked to be physically distant? And we know that in-person connection is going to remain really important. And when we can begin to more safely connect in person, we're going to want to resume some of those actions, because having even just the opportunity to have someone touch your hand can be a really positive experience. But there are other options available to us right now while this is not possible. And those can be done virtually, online. It can be done through phone conversations. It can even be done through old-fashioned mail. Now, the satisfaction of connection may take a bit more time, but it's always really nice to receive a letter. So we know that there are a number of different platforms that exist that can help us with online social connection. Those can be things like Netflix, Party, Zoom, FaceTime, Skype, Steam. They all can offer engaging ways to stay connected with members of our family and our friend groups. And some of them are actually free, which is really nice, because we know right now with COVID-19, there have been a lot of financial repercussions for a lot of people. So having options that are free is a really nice bonus. So we've created a small list of ideas of ways to stay connected. We know that this is not a complete list, and you may already be doing some of these, but our hope is that maybe you haven't thought of all of these, and this could be suggestions that might be interesting to help connect with some of your own social networks. So watching a movie together is a really interesting option. We know that through Netflix Party, there's an option to watch a movie with friends, even though you're not located in the same place. That can be really nice activity to engage in, because that would be something that we would normally do. So it can give us that sense of normalcy, even though it's a little bit different. If you're somebody that really likes to dance, you could always organize a virtual dance party, plan a virtual dinner or coffee date. We do that at our place of work, just because it's really nice to be connected and connect with our coworkers as well, and take a break from our really busy day-to-day schedules. You could host a book club or a movie club party. So kind of get together with a group of friends, decide you're going to read the same book, and then organize a night where you can actually talk about that book. Sometimes it's nice to read a book that's not an academic book during the academic year, if you can find the time. Another option is to find a workout buddy with whom you could check in, or even a workout buddy that you could organize a specific time where you're going to do a workout together over Zoom. Sometimes even also just texting kind of where you're at with your progress, or the different activities that you're doing, maybe some push-up competitions, things like that. That can really be helpful to motivate as well, and to help us feel like we're connected. You might be able to stream a class. So lots of different providers are coming up with online classes. So cooking classes, fitness, painting, all kinds of options out there right now. You could take part in an online community discussion. So through maybe on Reddit or other different programs. You could volunteer. Now we know that volunteering is a little bit more limited because of physical distancing requirements, but there are still options available. So you might be able to correspond with an elderly person. Now we know that people who are of a certain age are in a more at-risk category for COVID, so are often spending more time in the home. So for them to have some level of connectedness with others is really important. So that could be a really nice opportunity for volunteering. Hosting a virtual game night. So either on Steam or Zoom or on your cell phone, being able to play a game with other people at the present moment all together would be really nice. Joining a community Facebook group to learn about activities that respect social distancing guidelines that are taking place in your own neighborhood can also be a really nice option. So you want to briefly take a moment to talk about how to safely use social media. So we're talking about social media as a great opportunity for connection, but we need to be careful when using social media, because we do know that social media can be addictive at times, and that also sometimes people will misuse social media. So if you're noticing that you're using too much social media, or when you're on social media, you're ending up feeling more negative, or you're feeling unwell, then you're going to need to be mindful of that, and then either modify or reduce your usage. A lot of the time people will come to my office and talk about how they spend a lot of time comparing themselves to other people on social media. And we know that that can really negatively impact our mental health. So just remembering, this is kind of an analogy, but if you've ever been to a play, what we see when we're watching a play is the final product. Behind the scenes, if you've ever been behind the scenes of a play, it's chaos. So that's kind of what's happening on social media. So we're seeing people's plays, we're seeing what people want us to see, and then we're comparing that to our behind the stage. And that's a really unfair comparison, and it can lead to a lot of really difficult feelings. So just being mindful of that when you're using social media. Another really important thing to remember when using social media is that whatever you're putting out there is permanent. So be sure that you're comfortable with the information and the images that you're posting. Even if you're posting that image for a few minutes, decide, maybe that's not a good idea, you take it down. Already it might be too late, someone's maybe already saved that image. So just remembering to be thoughtful before you're posting any information. Another piece to be mindful of as well is that making sure that whatever you're using right now to connect, that there aren't any hidden costs to service. So reading that fine print that we often all just click accept and don't read, just being really careful with that information as well. So let's talk a little bit about healthy relationships in person and online. So it's important to be as selective with the friends that you choose to have online as the friends that you're choosing to have in person. So you want to set some boundaries that can be around regarding personal information that you're sharing or images that you're sharing. It can be topics of discussion. COVID-19 is a great example. Some people really want to talk about COVID-19 and talk about the consequences and their thoughts around it. And other people are saturated with conversation on COVID-19 and feel really anxious in discussions about it. So setting your boundaries there around what's most comfortable for you and sharing those boundaries with the people in your networks. And then also around frequency of contact. So we know that online, it's easy to send a message kind of anytime, but remembering that we have to be kind of respectful in terms of when we're sending messages and how frequently. You wouldn't go knock at your friend's door at midnight unless it was an emergency in most cases. So maybe be cautious when you're sending text messages as well and set up those boundaries and be clear about those. Be aware that conflicts are exacerbated by stress and difficult emotions, which are coming up for a lot of us during COVID. So if you feel that you're losing control of your emotions, it might be important in that moment to disengage from that interaction, self-regulate, and then go back to the conversation. And just being mindful of engaging with people who are safe and healthy and can regulate themselves as well, so you can have some of those positive interactions. So let's go over a little bit of about what's available to you from the services at Counseling Services during this pandemic. So it's important to note that even during COVID-19 pandemic, we are continuing to offer counseling services. We're offering them through teletherapy to students residing in Ontario. You can access our services either by going on our website and clicking on Meet a Counselor. You can also send us an email at couns@uottawa.ca. You can visit the new wellness page. The link is written there. That kind of lists all kinds of mental health resources that are available on campus. So those are all really great resources and ways to connect. You see here that we have an image of our stepped care model. So we work with the stepped care model at Counseling Services. It lists all kinds of different options that are available to students, whether that be self-directed kind of research and information on topics that might be of interest to you, or you can do some access our online therapy. We have groups. We have the opportunity to meet with a counselor for a single session and potentially for short-term counseling. Even referrals into the community for longer term or more specialized counseling. So lots of options. We really invite you to go onto our website and look at some of this information. Here we have listed all kinds of resources on campus and off that could be helpful. They include services for after hours, emergency services. So take a quick peek at this slide when you get a chance to get a little bit more information on what's available. We also have resources for international students. So if you're currently outside of Canada, you can still obtain counseling services through International SOS. So the University of Ottawa has partnered with International SOS to support students that are enrolled at the University of Ottawa who live outside of Canada or in other provinces outside of Ontario. So these students can call, you can call 1-215-942-8226 or download the Assistance app and identify which institution you belong to and access the service that way. International SOS offers support 24/7 all year long in over 60 languages, and they offer counseling over the phone and by video conferencing. So here on this slide and the next, you'll see all kinds of different resources that are specific to COVID to help cope through living in the pandemic. So we definitely encourage you to take a peek at some of these resources as well. That's the second one there. And then, so that's kind of the end of our presentation. So we really do encourage you, if you have any questions, any concerns, you want to communicate with us, you're interested in maybe scheduling an appointment, definitely consult. Either we have our email address here, there's a phone number there as well. You can book an appointment online, as we mentioned. If you're looking for also more information on what it's like to meet a counselor, or even to get a sense of a few of the counselors that we have on staff, you can always visit our YouTube channel. We have all kinds of resources on there now, and some interesting videos as well on coping through COVID. So we encourage you to take a peek at that also. So that is it for us for today. We thank you for having joined us, and we hope that you have a lovely day.